Welcome to our show. All the good ones
are taken, aka Atgoat.
I'm Alex.
And I'm MK.
And this is our podcast. Welcome to March.
Women's History Month. The month MK wears sunglasses.
Do tell us about
St. Patrick's Day. No,
which I'm very excited for.
Me too. That is the day that I proposed to Shelby.
Beautiful.
And also we had an exciting day because it was leap day. It's a leap year.
I completely forgot about that, but I will say I did see that Facebook post where like all the babies wear little frog hats, which is fucking adorable.
That's really cute.
Yeah, because they're like leap year babies. So 10 out of 10 because that was excellent.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I am wearing sunglasses because I may have had some shenanigans on our Alex's birthday trip and got a black eye and concussion.
Ooh.
So I've just been sporting these bad boys. Shout out to Madeline for getting them for me on my bachelorette trip.
And they're super cute. You are rocking it. Cute. And yeah, I'm not sure why we didn't plan ahead for injuries when 12 people were in a cabin for a weekend in the woods, but it happens. Our sweet friend Jade also got injured. So
cameo from last month's Minisode.
Yeah, shout out. And there were some sliced fingers. Least to say, it was a great time.
It was a very fun time. It wouldn't have been a weekend in the woods if we didn't have 3 injuries.
Not with this friend group. Absolutely not. Not with this friend group. But we made it alive.
Yes. And it was a great time. We got to celebrate Alex, which is the most important thing.
So it was lovely.
Together, so.
Yeah. Very thankful. I feel very special. And I just love all my friends. So woo. Yay. All right, let's dive in.
So this month we are doing some historical fiction. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah. All right. So for runners up, for starters up, the beginning, the book number 1, book number uno. All right. It's been a long day, if you can tell, but I'm going to be covering The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini, which I did read in high school, and I'll go ahead and read the description. The unforgettable, heartbreaking story of the unlikely friendship between a wealthy boy and the son of his father's servant. Caught in the tragic sweep of history, The Kite Runner transports readers to Afghanistan at a tense and crucial moment of change and destruction. A powerful story of friendship, it is also about the power of reading, the price of betrayal, and the possibility of redemption. And an exploration of the power of fathers over sons, their love, their sacrifices, their lives. Whew. Since its publication in 2003, The Kite Runner has become a beloved, one-of-a-kind classic of contemporary literature, touching millions of readers and launching the career of one of America's most treasured writers. So, I don't even know where to begin with this book. This was an optional read for my high school junior year English class, and our beloved teacher, Mrs. May, shout out to her. She was like a great teacher. I read so many great books because of her. But this was optional because she basically was like, okay, this is like an exceptionally triggering book.
Oh.
And I was like, great, that one. I was like, sign me up. And she was like, okay, Alex, but like, just be forewarned, like it's dark and it's rough. And I was like, psh, whatever. Like nothing will faze me. And like this book, I have never sobbed so hard from a book ever, period.
No way.
Literally, this book like changed my life, literally.
Went to the bottom of my TBR.
In case like I need to stay the fuck away from this book. I remember so distinctly like literally sobbing and like calling my mom in the middle of reading this book, and I was just like, Mom, this book. And she was like, maybe you should talk to someone about this. I was like, I don't have any relation to this story at all, but it was just so heartbreaking. And like, the story is excellent. And I highly suggest, because it paints such a specific POV of like what's happening in that country at this time. And I feel like, because we hear a lot on like American news, we hear a lot of like kind of the story that they paint and stuff. But this was, although it is fiction, like it does kind of portray like a different perspective that we usually would not see at all unless like someone was there living it.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting to have a take from the Middle East. I feel like, especially like you were saying in American politics and news, you never see the Middle Eastern countries portrayed well.
Yeah.
And, you know, at the end of the day, there's still people there. Like, they don't get to choose where they were born.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. This book is definitely, again, it's definitely fiction, but it's just such a microscopic look at like life in 2001 and around that time. And I think these stories are so important, even if they are fictitious, because it's still giving us that like inner look into what's happening in these people's lives. It's allowing us a sort of like empathy that we normally like would not
exactly
get. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Please read it at your own discretion. I cannot stress this enough. There are very triggering things in this book. I'm not even going to list them all. There's so many, but just again, read at your own discretion. And I am going to read the afterword from the author because I do think it is relevant even today. And just like, yeah. For almost 3 decades now, the Afghan refugee crisis has been one of the most severe around the globe. War, hunger, anarchy, and oppression forced millions of people to abandon their homes and flee Afghanistan to settle in neighboring Pakistan and Iran. At the height of the exodus, as many as 8 million Afghans were living abroad as refugees. According to the UN Refugees 2011 Globe Trends report, Afghans remain the biggest producers of refugees in the world at 2.7 million. Since 2002, nearly 5 million refugees have returned home with assistance from the UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. In 2007 and 2009, I visited some of these refugees in Afghanistan. I met families who lived on less than $1 a day. They spent entire winters cooped up in holes dug underground. I visited villages where families routinely lost 10 to 15 children to the elements every winter and every summer. The people I met drank water from muddy rivers and died of easily preventable diseases. They had little shelter and no access to healthcare facilities, schools, food, or jobs. I was devastated. The Khaled Hosseini Foundation was established as a result of this life-altering journey. With this foundation, we hope to make a meaningful and enduring difference. Since 2009, the foundation has collaborated with UNHCR and funded the building of shelters for homeless returnees. The foundation has also partnered with schools across the United States through the SOS program Student Outreach for Shelters, encouraging the philanthropic impulses of young students and engaging them to raise funds for the building of shelters for returnees in Afghanistan. The Khaled Hosseini Foundation aims its funds primarily at those projects that benefit refugees, especially women and children, 2 groups that have suffered more than any other in that beleaguered country and who are the backbone of Afghanistan's future. That was a lot, but relevant. And if you are looking for a historical fiction book that is from this region in this period of time, I highly suggest this one.
Yeah, I've never read that author, but, you know, I own the book. And I've also heard recommended to me many times is A Thousand Splendid Suns. I'm not sure what that one's about, but I'm assuming probably a pretty similar concept.
Yeah.
And, you know, both of them have been given many awards for how modern and, you know, just like classic literature.
Yeah, absolutely. So. I'm going to add that one to my TBR.
Yeah.
But shout out to Miss May from 9th grade. Or is it 11th grade? One of those. Thank you.
Junior year is 11th grade.
Yep, there we go. Junior year. Time is a construct. And bringing that one back. Yeah. Throwback. And yeah, so just read at your own discretion, but I do highly recommend it. What you got, MK?
Great. So mine also is a book from high school. It is one of the foundational books of my like reading journey.
Excellent.
And I recently got both a signed copy and the special anniversary edition of this book.
Oh, nice.
I've also met the author, and in high school, actually, he did a talk at SMU. And so we got extra credit for going.
That's wild. That's cool.
And when we had the apartment fire, this was the one book that I grabbed.
Hell yeah.
Thankfully, we did recover a lot of them, but like when I was able to go in,
like you had to grab
that one.
Yeah. So that says a lot. I mean, people always ask the question, like, what would you save in a fire? MK would save The Book Thief. Ta-da!
The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. This is so beautifully written. And I think I'll read it. I'll read the
Yay.
thing first. Mm-hmm. When death has a story to tell, you listen. It is 1939, Nazi Germany. The country is holding its breath. Death has never been busier and will become busier still. By her brother's graveside, Liesel Memminger finds her life changed when she picks up a single object, partially hidden in the snow. It is the Grave Digger's Handbook. Left there by accident, and it is her first act of book thievery. So begins a love affair with books and words, as Liesel, with the help of her accordion-playing foster father, learns to read. Soon she is stealing books from Nazi book burnings, the mayor's wife's library, wherever there are books to be found. But these are dangerous times. When Liesel's foster family hides a Jewish man in their basement, Liesel's world is both opened up and closed down. In superbly crafted writing that burns with intensity, award-winning author Marcus Zusak has given us one of the most enduring stories of our time. This was also made into a movie, too.
Ooh, was it good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's, I mean, of course, the book's better, but
yeah,
I thought it was a really good retelling. And Shelby really loved the movie. So he never read it, but I made him watch it with me, and he did love the movie.
Love that.
One of the most beautiful things about this book is that it's written from the perspective of death.
Oh.
So it, like, you are reading it as Death, who is coming.
That's dope.
He literally is like coming to take Liesel and just watching Liesel this whole time and is waiting to take her. But
That's
it keeps
crazy.
not being her time.
That's really cool. I had no idea it was from that POV.
Yeah. It's
what?
So beautiful. And I know a lot of people, like, World War II historical fiction is probably the most prevalent, especially in America.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I do, like, when I'm reading on social media book recommendations, people will often say, like, I want a historical fiction, but not a World War II, because I've read too many of those.
Yeah.
I would say this is worth it.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's like one of my top 10 favorite books, but it actually is probably tied with Percy Jackson. Like, that's how much I love it.
Aww.
It's a German girl hiding a Jewish man, but it, like I said, it is from the perspective of death, which is very unique.
That's like the coolest thing I've ever heard in a book for a minute. It almost reminds me of like an anime. I'm not going to get into it, but it's very cool.
Yeah, it's so unique. And it's like, I read this in high school like you did. Like, it is, I think, considered YA.
Yeah.
So it's just so beautiful. And the Jewish man that they hide in the basement, like, draws pictures for Liesel.
Aww.
And throughout the book, there are the drawings.
That's cool. I like when authors include, like, if there's drawings in the book, I like when they include the art, because it's like easier just to picture. Everyone has their own imaginings of what things look like, but
yeah,
it's very cool to have that perspective.
And his mother was in the Holocaust. His grandmother. Wow. Yeah. So, like in real life, the actual author. So just, this is a book that I haven't read since the first time I read it in 10th grade English, but it has stuck with me every year.
Yeah.
And whenever I think about, like, what my favorite book is, I always come back to this one.
Wow. That's awesome.
So definitely recommend. I have a ton of other World War II history books that I do love, but I think the way that Zusak crafts this story and includes, like, the artsy, like, creative side that we don't often get to see, because it's more about, like, poverty and destruction and war.
Yeah. And honestly, a lot of, like, male perspective, which I get it. Like, there was a lot of soldiers and, a devastating time for sure, but just I like a different POV.
Yeah. It's a little girl, like, in Nazi.
Right.
Like, she's training in Hitler's army.
Right. Like, we don't have that perspective in almost any other forms of media. So,
God, I mean, I think I'm going to have to reread this soon.
I think you should. It sounds like it. This to me was like the high school book. I'm not sure how I didn't read it in high school, but I remember everyone else, like, going through it and, like, just raving about it, honestly. Like, because even if you're not a reader, there are books that you come across in, like, school and stuff like that that affect you and, like, you really do like. And I feel like this book was one of those for a lot of people.
I think so too. And we did a lot of really cool. So our cool English teacher was Miss Gandy in 10th grade.
What a fun name, Gandy.
There are a lot of
rhymes with candy.
which is so silly. Like looking back at it, she's like our age.
That's fun.
But like when I was in high school, I was like, she's ancient. Like,
we're getting.
I know.
I feel ancient. My back feels ancient.
That's for freaking sure. But so she always had the fun assignments to do, and like while we actually still got to read impactful and good books, we got to do the fun assignments too. So I remember like I had for the project there was a couple different options you could do, and the one that I chose was create a playlist for it.
Oh, fun.
And I remember like specifically choosing Hey Jude from
the
Beatles because Jude translates to Jew.
Yeah.
And so I remember being like, I'm smart.
I am knowledgeable. And I
remember
people need to know this.
Well, and I remember Wilson Colic was like, you know, it translates to Jewish, right? And I was like,
yeah, that's why I put it on there. Yeah. Oh my God.
No. He was like trying to be like, oh, that was so great. And I was like, I know.
I thought he was like, just so you know. Like,
no.
Okay.
No, gotcha. Wilson was great. Shout out Wilson.
Great Wilson. Awesome.
Anyway, 10 out of 10 recommend. It's a great book.
Love that. Yay. Okay. For my second book, this may not be a surprise to many of you, but my second historical fiction pick is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This book, I didn't read it until much later in life. So probably like, I don't know, maybe I was like 18, 20.
I've never read it.
Really?
Yeah.
You should. It is a tough read. Like the language, the Old English that is used, it's hard. It's kind of a hard read to get through. And I definitely had to do a lot of like research of like kind of like what the fuck are they talking about in this moment? But if you can get through that, it is such a good story. And I did rate it 5 stars. Both of these are 5 stars, by the way. And so my Pride and Prejudice journey started when I was probably like 10 years old, around then, because the 2005 version of Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden, ? Pretty sure.
I haven't seen it.
You fucking need to watch it.
I don't actually know the story of Pride and Prejudice.
We need to watch that. Maybe when you're bored, we can watch it. But my mom would play that movie like incessantly. Like she definitely had a hand in like my taste growing up, because I specifically remember watching this movie at like 10, 12 years old and being like, Mr. Darcy, like
it's the hand meme for me.
It's the hand meme when he's literally like helping her in the carriage, and like just the mere touch of like one hand to him, her hand, has him like stretching his hand like he's like electrocuted or something with her love. But beautiful scene, beautiful moment, a meme all over the internet. But yeah, I literally vividly remember watching that movie and being like, Mr. Darcy. And I just loved that movie. Pretty much got me started on like period drama, specifically like that period, like it's not Victorian, Regent era. That's what it's called.
Britain
dramas. And that specifically and Phantom of the Opera, that really got my interest peaked. 12-year-old Alex, men who wear masks and creep around.
Fun fact, Shelby's favorite musical is Phantom of the Opera.
Hell yeah, Shelby.
Our high school did it it was my 9th grade year, so his 10th grade year. And I saw it probably 12 times.
Hell yeah.
I saw it so many times because
it's so good.
All my friends were in it. But it's also a great musical. But what I was gonna say is there is a like really dark romance book based off of Phantom.
Is it Haunting Adeline?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what it's
I
called.
am interested in that. So if you can find out and let me know, I would appreciate that. But yeah, it was never the like golden retriever boy that she ends up with that I was like, oh my God, no. It was like the fucking Phantom. Like when he like gets up behind her, is like I loved it.
Great.
That was the whole movie and musical summed up in one thing. But it was the mask that did it, honestly, for me. Like the decrepit, like
I love a wounded man.
Yeah. Like, let me fix him.
Which is really fun since I married a golden retriever.
That is facts. Shelby, if he's something, he's the golden retriever man for sure. Back to Pride and Prejudice.
Which also, to be clear, is not a historical fiction. It is a classic.
It is a classic. It is listed as a classic, but I'm using it as my historical fiction because it's just so fucking good, and I don't know when we're going to cover a classic. So I'm going to go ahead and read the summary. Of all Jane Austen's books, Pride and Prejudice has earned a special place in the hearts of the reading public as her best loved and most intimately known novel, period. From its famous opening sentence, the story of the Bennet family and of the novel's two protagonists, Elizabeth and Darcy, told with a wit that its author feared might prove rather too light and bright and sparkling. It's not, but okay, girl. Delights its most familiar readers as thoroughly as it does those who encounter it for the first time. And while she entertains us, Jane Austen teaches us the wisdom of balance, the folly of Pride and Prejudice. That wasn't exactly a summary,
can you like what just in your own words?
Two hot people.
Okay. I'm pulling it up.
Two hot people have pride and can't communicate and spend years, what is it called? Not lusting after, I guess lusting, but
no, pining.
Pining after each other when a simple conversation could fix everything. And he's
the
rich.
First miscommunication trope.
The original, the OG.
I will say, like, almost every author that I learn about, like modern author, romance author, is like Pride and Prejudice was my first. You know,
yeah.
Like I feel like it is the foundation.
It is literally the foundation
of a rom-com. Mm-hmm. So
it's not a comedy. No, nothing is nothing.
No,
but like the genre.
Like it's not Wuthering Heights.
No.
That one's
Heathcliff. No.
Heathcliff, no.
No. Darcy. But on a serious note, basically, wait, are you pulling it up?
Yeah. It says, Pride and Prejudice follows the turbulent relationship between Elizabeth Bennet, the daughter of a country gentleman, and Fitzwilliam Darcy, a rich aristocratic landowner. Mm-hmm. They must overcome the titular sins of Pride and Prejudice in order to fall in love and marry.
Okay, it's not a sin. They're just being dumb. But
well, it's it's a titular sin. Say like
titular,
meaning that like their titles.
Titties. No.
Oh.
Oh.
Pride and Titties.
Sin and Titties. No.
The spin-off Sin and Titties.
We need to market this immediately.
It's like Elizabeth's like great granddaughter just like hoeing it up on OnlyFans.
Honestly, I hope you're jotting this down because seriously, it's such a good idea.
Trademark.
No, fucking trademark it because seriously, she came up with this now. Yeah, it's ours. Okay. And side note, there's so many head-ass spin-offs of this book. Like, do you remember the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies? That was fucking ridiculous. But
I've never read any of them.
And I'm not going to because the original, why would you ever taint something like that?
I will absolutely read them. I just haven't read the original one.
Yeah. No, you should. You should.
I don't know about the ant zombies, but
not the zombies. Forget the zombies. But yeah, there's like this one scene in the book that I remember so vividly in the movie. Well, the movie specifically, but it's basically where Darcy kind of like explains his behavior in some kind of way. And Elizabeth is visiting her friend in her country home. And Darcy like rides through the night and like basically, which is so not allowed at this time period. Like he's visiting her unchaperoned in a room in the middle of the night. Like just not absolutely. I mean, she's sitting in like the sitting room, but still it's like so scandalous or whatever. He's like not wearing proper clothes. Like he's wearing this like peasant top flying through the wind, you know, it's beautiful. And he comes in and like basically lays this shit down on her. And she's standing there like facing a mirror and he's like behind her. She's facing the mirror, like looking in her eyes. And after he says his little bit or whatever, it's like this montage of like a couple of days passing. So it's like night turns into dawn and then dawn turns into day. And she's like just sitting there like processing what he said. And I was like, been there, girly.
Okay. All right. What if you could spend 4 days contemplating a thought. That's all you did.
Right. I would never do that, actually. I'm mostly joking, but...
No. I know. I'm saying, but like, imagine if you could, like, she didn't have
the space. Yeah. These girls
or time. Like, we've got to go to work.
Right.
We
have shit to do.
Right.
No, that's absolutely facts. Because although Elizabeth in the book, she's not like the wealthiest. Like, she's still up there in the hierarchy.
I mean, she's still not stuff to do.
Yeah, she's not like a peasant, but like they run their own home. They have like money to support the family. Like they have staff, basically.
She got chores.
But like, to have the space and freedom, and I'm not saying we need to return to this time period. Absolutely not. No, because literally in the book, there's like a moment where they're like, okay, well, we're going to lose the house because you had the 5 daughters, like, you know. But yeah, for a woman to have like just the space to sit in her friend's country home for 4 days and like contemplate some shit a man said, like, yeah, we don't have that freedom. It happens in a split second and then I repress it. That's what happens today.
Also, men are a lot less important than they were.
Facts.
Back then.
Big fucking facts. They can no longer control us with their money and their power. I mean, they still do.
Land-owning abilities.
Yeah, they still do, technically. But much more on a... Less so now. So yay. Feminism.
It's Women's History Month. There's another series, and I didn't pick it, but before I go into this one, it's a series by Evie Dunmore called The Extraordinary Women's League, and it's historical romances.
I've heard that, yes.
So it's spicy, which is fun.
Yeah.
But it also is like women probably during this time. It's during the women's suffrage movement in England.
Love that.
And they're like the first, of course it's fiction, but it's the first class of women at Oxford or something. Mm-hmm. And so they're all like...
I love that.
Yeah, it's very fun. And then, of course, they all fall in love with like aristocrats.
Fun Englishmen.
There we go. Very good series. I definitely recommend it.
I'm going to check it out. But yeah, that was a lot of like nonsense, but you should read it. And it definitely, like MK said, like it literally was the foundation of like me blossoming into girlhood, me starting my journey on like romance, stuff like that. And it's just such a good story, such a good movie. Please watch it if you haven't. Please read the book if you haven't.
I feel like I'm probably the only one that hasn't.
There are many people who haven't. Don't worry about it. Well, you need to watch them. Are you talking about the movie?
Both.
Yeah, you need to watch the movie because that is where you're falling behind. But the book is another.
I know it by the memes.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And it's the best adaptation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, all right. What you got next? Last one. Woo.
So our last book for historical fiction is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Mm-hmm. This is, I think there's 4 books in the same universe, but they're more of like an interconnected standalone where the characters kind of pop up throughout, like the same characters pop up throughout.
Yeah.
This was a Reese Witherspoon's book club pick.
Hell yeah, I love her.
And that's how I found out about this book. But what actually got me into it was that it's like really, really loosely based off of Fleetwood Mac.
Which I love. Like Stevie Nicks and Lindsay, question mark, their relationship in that song Silver Springs. Oh, like the lore is insane. People say that song is a spell.
So that's essentially what this book is about.
Oh my God. Maybe I need to read it because I'm obsessed with that whole thing.
Well, and I listened to it on audiobook when I was living in Dublin. So I listened to it like on my commute, which probably made it like a little bit more magical. But then I made Shelby listen to it with me.
Nice.
So I've read it twice. I absolutely adore it. It has a bunch of different POVs, like from the entire band.
I love that.
So I am going to read this. It says, author's note. This book is an attempt to piece together a clear portrait of how the renowned 1970s rock band Daisy Jones and the Six rose to fame, as well as what led to their abrupt and infamous split while on tour in Chicago on July 12th, 1979. Over the course of the last 8 years, I have conducted individual interviews of current and former members of the band, as well as family, friends, and industrial elite who surrounded them at that time. The following oral history is compiled and edited from those conversations, as well as relevant emails, transcripts, and lyrics. The complete lyrics to their album Aurora can be found at the back of the book. While I have aimed for a comprehensive approach, I must acknowledge that this proved impossible. Some potential interviews were difficult to track down. Some were more forthcoming than others, and some, unfortunately, have passed on. This book serves as the first and only time members of the band have commented on their history together. However, it should also be noted that on matters both big and small, sometimes accounts of the same event differ. The truth often lies unclaimed in the middle.
Ooh, I like that.
So I'm listening to this book, right? And I'm like, why have I never heard of this band before?
Girl.
So I'm Googling, like, on the Dublin bus, like, Daisy Jones and the Six, like, on my Spotify.
Like, who are these people? Like,
finally, I, like, dig in enough, like, to Taylor Jenkins Reid's, like, interviews. And I'm like, oh, it's a fictitious band. But it says author's notes. So
it seemed like legit. Yeah.
So it did take me a little bit to, like, figure out what was happening. But it's written truthfully, like it's written like it's actually an interview amongst people.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And that's also how Evelyn Hugo and The Seven Husbands is also written.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Which is kind of the second one in the series, which is a beautiful, like, Hollywood.
Wait, it's the same author?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Stop it right now. I did not know that.
So
both of those books are like huge on social media, by the way.
So Evelyn Hugo is, I would say, the most popular, and most people like it the best, but I think Daisy Jones and the Six is my favorite.
Yeah.
So Daisy Jones takes place in the 70s. I'm pretty sure Evelyn Hugo takes place in the 80s. Malibu Rising takes place in the 90s. And there's another one called Carrie Soto is Back. And I don't know when that one takes place.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, I really enjoyed this book. Like, I don't know how to, like, explain it.
She's lost for words.
I really am.
She can't articulate how good it was. But I love that.
It's just very fun. It's sad. It's heartbreaking, but all around a fantastic read. So I would suggest either of these, honestly, Daisy Jones and the Six or Evelyn Hugo. Both are really good. Have you read Evelyn Hugo?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
Well,
that was a very strong reaction. The reason why I haven't is because it was so big on social media that I was like, I need to not read this. But maybe I will eventually. This has piqued my interest more.
Yes.
Than the other one, because I think I like, well, first of all, I'm such a big Stevie Nicks fan, and also their relationship was just so fascinating to me and so heartbreaking. Like, if you look at that footage of her like singing Silver Springs to Lindsay, just him basically realizing that, like, she's singing and he's singing along with her to his, like, own hex, basically. Like, the quote is something like you'll never get over the woman who loved you, or something like that. Yeah, Ope is right. And what a badass move to be like, okay, I'm going to write this whole ass song about you and our relationship, and then I'm going to have you sing it on stage with me.
Yeah.
Woo. But I love them. And I love Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, it's essentially them. So I think Lindsay, he's a guitar player mainly, wasn't like, he wasn't the lead singer.
No, just in this one song, he was like.
So in this book, they're both the lead singer.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and just like it felt like Fleetwood Mac, and I don't even really know Fleetwood Mac. I mean, of course, I do, but like
the basics. Yeah,
I know that, like, there's just like this scene of them at a photo shoot trying to get the, like, album art for Aurora, which is their main album. And, like, they're all wearing, like, white t-shirts and, like, denim, and, like, and then there's just, like, this dramatic, like, they, like, I don't even know. It's just,
it's good. It's a good scene, apparently.
Yeah, it is. It's just, it's the aesthetic of 1970s rock. It's romance, like, both unrequited and requited, and like, oh man. forbidden. I don't even.
And I love that time period.
So
Such
angsty.
a sexy period of time.
It is.
Yeah.
And I love a rock star.
Not that one, but
What?
not that Tessa Bailey. Not that one.
I would hardly call them rock stars.
His name was Beat.
And hers was Melody. Glad we didn't
Tessa
do it.
Bailey.
I'm still probably gonna read that golf one.
I'm gonna give her other books a try, but yes, and there's a series to this book.
Yes,
like a television series.
Yes, it is a TV show, and I heard it was not very good. But
Well, that hot guy is in it.
Compared to the book, it's not that good.
Oh,
is what I've heard. But they created an entire album off of the lyrics that the author wrote for the show.
That's awesome.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
She should write music then, because that's crazy.
Yeah. She has Taylor Jenkins Reid has honestly written a lot of books, and I would say most of them are very good.
Okay.
I've read almost all of her books.
All right, Miss Jenkins.
Well, historical fiction is actually one of my favorite genres.
This is news to me.
Yeah, so it's romance, historical fiction.
Oh, okay.
Everything
gotcha.
else.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense to me. Yes.
So I have a ton of recommendations, honestly. So I can't wait to do this again.
Hell yeah. I need to read more, honestly, because there are so many interesting facets of time to dive into, and like the fiction genre just in general just creates such a large space for like imaginings, and so you can create so many beautiful, amazing stories of that time period, and like I love that about the genre.
Yeah, and you get to learn a lot about different cultures.
You learn a lot. Yeah, even though it is fiction, like,
but it's based in like real cultural things.
It's based off of reality. Some bits, most of the bits, but
I've listened to a lot recently. So I just finished The Covenant of Water by Abraham Varghese, I think, which won Barnes and Noble's Book of the Year.
Okay.
And it's like 3 generations of this family in this like country of India. And it was very interesting. And he's like a actual doctor, I believe. So it's very like medical. It's just really interesting.
Yeah.
It's like 700 pages. It's massive. And I'm reading one now that takes place, I think in the 80s, about this girl running away from a cult. So
amazing. That's the thing. Like, I feel like a lot of these stories that are based in reality, I feel like sometimes it's hard to digest the reality of it all. And so these stories are a way for people to like have a perspective of the situation that maybe is a little bit easier to understand and to like sift through, while still gaining like the actual historic significance of what's happening in these stories.
Absolutely.
So I love that. I love that about the genre.
And also, if you haven't noticed, our background is officially complete.
Yay!
And I don't know if it's in the shot, but we have all the good ones are taken.
Ta-da!
And then right above that is our first 11 books we've done for the podcast.
Which is, I love that they added that detail. It's such a cute little icopod thing.
Yeah.
I love it. And it looks so good. Y'all did an amazing job.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy with how it's turned out. And it's all by genre too. So if someone's like, man, I would love a historical fiction rec, I can be like, great, it's
Here
over
you
here.
Go. Perfect. Yeah.
So our next book will be Wayward by Amelia Hart.
Yes.
Which is why we're doing historical fiction. It's a historical fiction and like woman book. So
we love it.
I'm excited. It also I think it was up for best debut and best historical fiction on Goodreads for last year. And also for book of the month, it was up for the best book. So
hell yeah, all good things. I'm excited to read it. I haven't read a good historical fiction in a minute, and I think it's a perfect book for March, Women's History.
Yeah.
So
I saw one comment or one like review, and it was like, this book is just about women being upset. And I was like, sounds like my kind of book.
And as they should be, because there's a shit ton to be upset about.
Yeah.
So, yay.
I am excited for it.
Least to say, we are excited for March. We hope y'all had a good February. We hope you have an excellent March. We're excited for what's to come.
I love March. March is one of my favorite months.
I love it because it's like springtime and it's right before it gets so hot. Oh, look, baby. Please be careful.
Gordito has made his debut.
He's saying, y'all need to wrap this up, but or else. And yeah, I'm just excited. I love when the weather gets like this. Like this is my thriving time. Like I'm soaking up the sunshine after like a long winter. Mm-hmm. I'm like exiting hibernation. Like it's good. You need to stop, mister. I'm scared.
He's not gonna hurt you. That was good.
Sorry, you scared me.
Good job, Gordito.
Oh, and he's gone. They always scare me. Like I can't see them and then they jump and I'm like.
As always, you can email us at goatpod@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at goatpod. You can find us on Facebook. All the Good Ones Are Taken podcast. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
We would love to hear from you. I'm not going to go on about it again, but we would love to hear from you. And thank y'all for listening.
Thanks for listening.
This has been
All the Good Ones
Are Taken. Ding.